Good day, mar atá Mise Enda Murray ard stúthór de féile scanán na hÉireann san Astral. Tá ás orm very kind enoch le Rachael Moriarty, stúthór de Róise Agus Frank, agus Bríd Ní Neachtain an príomh aistó san scanán. Rachael agus Bríd, fáilte chuig an Astral. Cócárdis, Rachael or dús. I really enjoyed Róise Agus Frank, and I wanted to know what inspired. I know read the press, the press release. I did my homework. Can you explain just a little bit? You know, it's a very funny film, but you talk about it. It's actually got a serious core, and you mentioned about dealing with grief, which actually makes a lot of sense when you've seen the film. People will have seen the film now, so there are no spoilers. Yeah.
Okay, well, myself and Peter, who is my co-writer and co-director, were thinking of a story inspired by a belief in Ireland and in other countries as well, that when somebody passes, you kind of see signs from the universe that you may not have seen, you know, little kind of signs about the person who has departed. And one of the superstitions in Ireland is that a robin comes back, or a bird often embodies the spirit of the person. So really we were kind of, you know, liking that idea and thinking about it and wondering what would happen if it kind of scaled up a bit, I suppose. And rather than a small little robin hopping around on a tree, you had a very you had a large dog. You had a kind of something that's much harder to contend with and much harder for other people to write off. And the story really developed from there, from that little germ of an idea, and we just went further and further with it. And because the idea of somebody's husband returning as a dog is quite fantastical, that lent itself to a little bit of comedy, while also lending itself to quite a lot of you know, meaningful things, I hope, to say about the grieving process.
I was intrigued as to how you pitched this idea to a bunch of suits. You pitch it as obviously as a comedy, yes. Was that difficult?
Not really. I mean, I think that people were kind of intrigued by the idea, so we didn't really have to pitch it in terms of a genre, I suppose. We just said, this is a story about a woman who believes her husband has returned as a dog. And everyone was like, okay, that's interesting. What happens? So, I mean, when we're writing or when we're developing anything, we always try and think, well, what is the central idea? And I mean, it's a real truism, but if you can say it in a sentence and people can get it in a sentence, it certainly helps pitching a story. It certainly helps it because everyone can kind of find the hook themselves, I suppose.
Great. Bríd, could you tell us how you became involved in the project?
Well, Rachael met me, I'd say it was about a year before we started filming, Rachael, and we had a cup of coffee and she pitched the idea, and I thought it was a very interesting idea. And then they went off and they did their work, and I hadn't heard anything else about it, and then came back and said, yes, we've got the green light and we're doing it. And then, of course, you go, okay, so I'm going to be, my co-star is a dog. So you go, all right, okay, because with other actors, you can run lines, you can have a chat about the scene coming up. That wasn't possible, obviously. So I was a bit apprehensive, I have to say, on the first day of shoot as to how he would behave, you know. And I suppose for me, it made me stay in that moment and play each moment as they came, because I didn't know what the dog was going to do. And we had a very good, he had a very good handler, trainer, Ashley. So I sort of lent on, towards him and said, what's the best thing to do here? Because obviously Rachael and Peter were, concerned about shots and all of that sort of thing. So I needed to be secure in going into a scene that I knew what I was doing and that I was also comfortable with the dog.
Cool. Hey, where was the film shot? Where were you filming?
We shot in Rhine in Dungarvan, and we had great support from the local community. They just embraced us, and we were also very, very lucky with the weather. Because as you can, it's actually, it looks beautiful.
Great. And I've got to ask you, how did you find Frank Modra?
Frank Modra was not easy to find. When we were writing the script, we were not very responsible. We didn't think about, can a dog do this or anything like that. We just wrote. And then afterwards went, okay, let's work out now whether there's a dog that can actually do this. We looked in Ireland and there just wasn't a dog. You need a dog that is at the right age, that is at the right disposition. It's quite tricky. So we found an agency in the UK actually that had a dog that they thought would be suitable. So Peter and I got onto a plane and had a meeting with Barley to see would he be interested in the role and would he be suitable for the role. We behaved ourselves and had a nice cup of tea. And his trainer Jill actually said they had read the script. They break down the script in a very technical way. So they had read the script and they said, really, there's only one dog that will be able to do this, and that is Barley. He's a rescue dog from Battersea Dogs Home, lives with the family, has been trained. He's a mixed breed. He had a great face for camera. All of these kind of things just clicked, and yes, he accepted the role and came over to Ireland with Ashley, as Bríd was saying, his handler, and it just all went really well from there. But I have to say, we didn't know that when we were writing it. We should have thought about it. We didn't.
Yeah. My little dog is in the office right now, so I'm a dog person, and I'm in awe of what you've done. Bríd, were there many moments in the shoot that you fondly remember?
Oh, there were so many moments. There were so many moments that I remember the first day. All the scenes were with Barley, and it's what Rachael was saying. We didn't know what this dog was capable of doing, but actually, from the first shot, from the first scene, he could hit his mark. He was just absolutely brilliant. So the trust then, that I built up with him was fantastic. And then working with other actors, Killian Garvey and Lorcan Cranage and Ruan, who had never acted before. He's the young guy. And his discipline and his acting skills were just lovely. So it kind of made my job very easy, really.
Cool. We were just chatting before you come on, Bríd, about the success of Irish language films, and I know you've been involved in Irish language films for a while. What do you think is behind the current interest in the language?
Well, I think, it's a beautiful language. We're used to seeing films in German, in French. There's no problem looking at subtitles for an audience member that mightn't be au fait with the language. I think there's more money put into the whole industry by TG Carr, by Screen Ireland, and I think there are more writers coming on board. And I always felt that we could stand shoulder to shoulder with the English language films, tell our stories in our own language, just as good as anybody. And actually, we went to Sonoma with it about over a year ago, and time and time again, we did a couple of Q&As there, and they said, "Oh my God, it's a beautiful language." They didn't have any problems, they didn't come with baggage. Sometimes I think in Ireland we come with baggage, towards the language, go back to how it was being taught and all of that sort of thing.
So, Coravostitza.
Basra is Smuk Misha,
a Ruggle le Gaelga.
Rugule Gaelga agus Berla, vi mohert an tuarim go gahafmud Sperla hagan freshen. So, Larshi Berlin, nervi mudan og, ach vi Gaelga san timpelach, so nire an aibagan leshin.
Great. my own dad was from Belmullet in County Mayo, but he wasn't someone who talked a lot about his his younger days, and very rarely spoke Gaelic. Well, he didn't ever speak Gaelic with us, even though I later found out that my grandparents had never spoken English. So from Belmullet, yeah. What were the challenges, Rachel, of what biggest challenges in making the film, looking back?
Well, we had some really good things on our side. We had written the part for Bríd, so that was brilliant because that took an awful lot of stress from us. We had a cast Barley, which was brilliant. We had found great local talent and local support, but the big challenge was time. So we shot the film in 20 days. That is tight. We had a lot of scenes, we did a lot of people, we did a lot of things to do. So I think our biggest challenge was probably time. The weather was even on our side, but all of those things were fantastic. But you'd always like more time. You want to give more time to the actors to do more takes. You want to give, time. And I think most filmmakers on a lower budget would be saying more time is what you would love to have. But we didn't have it. But we had a lot of other things on our side, which worked out very well for us.
Great. And what's coming up next for you, Rachel?
We're writing. We have we're writing a script that's somewhat in the vein of Róise and Frank. We're talking to other writers as well. Actually, we'd love to kind of direct work by other writers. So we're working with a couple of other writers. So we have a few projects in development. Róise and Frank was a little bit of an unexpected. A little bit unexpected for us. Our previous film was quite a gory and dystopian thriller. And this was a real departure in tone. And
was that Arrow?
That was Traders, which was
Traders, yes.
So that was a very, very different kind of film, and it was a very different experience Q&Aing it and bringing it to audiences and things like that. So it's made us kind of think about how much. I mean, this film had a real connection. Bríd was talking about being in the US, and people really connected with it emotionally, didn't they, Bríd? I mean, we found people coming up where it's having such a huge heartfelt connection. So it's really affected kind of the work we'll do from now on, I think.
Yeah, it does have a good, it has a lovely heart to it. And Bríd, what's next for you?
Well, I just finished the first horror, As Gaeilge, that was shot up in the Cooley Peninsula. It's part of the next tranche of the Cinecather film. And then I was very lucky to do a beautiful short as Berla in Waterford. So, I just did those two films back to back. And I'm just taking a rest now and walking my own little Yorkshire Terrier.
Very good. Very good. Hey, Goramila Maiga, thanks a million for joining us and for giving us your time. And Róise and Frank will be in 5 cities around Australia and online. So lots of opportunities for people to see it. Goramila Maiga, slán agus bannacht.